It's Mike and Sean back with Talking Tickets. We got Howard on, and we're going through the top 100 iconic tickets, 61 through number 80.
Yeah, that sounded better, I think.
Better. All right. Guys, how's it going?
It's going good. Really good. How are you, Howard?
Great. Happy to be back on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us again. This was
so we had the list that's been rolling through. We last time we went through 100 through number 81. You can kind of find that on a prior YouTube video. And starting back up number 80, I feel like we can just kind of jump back in. But I guess before we jump back in, do you guys have any thoughts on the prior 81 through 100 or just kind of the list itself?
Howard?
I think, I think the list is still cranking and everyone's still interested. And like I said, I'm always still excited when Sean puts it on IG and I get to see it every morning. And, I get to see our regulars. There's clearly a series of regular people that are commenting and posting about it, which is awesome.
Yeah. The comments are really interesting. The feedback's really interesting. I think that there's some themes that are starting to pop up. We could talk about that after we get through the list, but yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. The whole thing's fascinating. So credit to Howard for coming up with the idea.
The Godfather, Howard Citron. All right, starting it off. Top 100 tickets at number 80 would be the Tiger Woods' first PGA event when he turned 16. This was the interesting one because this one went crazy during the bubble period that we talk about. I think the highest one sold for around 50, 60K. There are only, I would say only, there's actually 49 of these now. When at one time we're like, oh my gosh, there's only 5 or 10, but I think it's a pretty iconic ticket. I had it at number 49. What you guys think of that one?
I had it at number 33, and I think that, I also agree, it's a very iconic ticket. I think that my preference is this one over the pro when he went pro, just because it's a lot earlier in his career. He's only 16 years old, and I think that we've talked about this one a lot because it's been so prevalent in the auction world, but it really hasn't been lately. Have you guys seen this sell recently? It seems like it's kind of dried up.
No, I haven't. And it's actually higher. The number is higher than I thought it would be. So I'm a little surprising. I figure we'll definitely see some more hit the market.
This is actually one of the few that I have. Here's my copy of it, but so this is the third one that I own on the list so far. And on this section, I have 4. So I'll go over those. But
Howard, what do you think of that one?
I love it. It's a great ticket. I own it. I was lucky enough to, kind of snag one from someone who was kind of liquidating their collection. And so I bought it, and I'm happy to have it. It was not on my list. I did not have it ranked. I had other Tiger tickets on my list. I didn't have this one on my list, but it's a good ticket. I mean, again, I think he's the GOAT. He's the best. Having his first event it's pretty cool. Wasn't on my list though.
So you don't think this is a top 100?
Again, I think I had Tiger. I think I had I definitely have the 97 Masters. But for me, it just didn't get up there. Maybe it's just because I didn't have that many golf tickets on the list, but it didn't get on there for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a mistake.
Number 79. Shaquille O'Neal NBA debut. And as you'll notice as this list goes, it's pretty heavy debut and was getting people pretty fired up. the
Yeah,
anti-debuters.
This was the section where there was a little bit of debate over debuts. I actually didn't have this one on my list, and for me, I didn't want to go debut heavy because I don't think that debuts are iconic necessarily, even if the player is iconic. So I didn't have this on my list because I don't think that one is super collectible. I mean, obviously it's collectible, but it's not one of those tickets you think of when you think of an iconic ticket, despite the player. But that was how I felt about it. So I didn't even have it on the list. What do you guys think?
Didn't have it on my list. And I love the ticket, and I would like to own one at one point. I know Mike likes the ticket too, but it's kind of for me. With basketball, it's Jordan, it's Bird, it's those kind of guys. Shaq, maybe just because of where he played or the time he played, it just didn't get on my 100. And I'm not super debut heavy either, but I love it. I think it's a cool ticket for sure.
I do love this ticket. I'm not like a huge Shaq guy, but I think he is kind of iconic personality. And the ticket is about as cool as it could get. I mean, if you look at it, it's freaking magic. It's early 90s looking. I think it kind of hits all the buttons. And I actually got one that I traded for this one a while back. And I love it because it's auto. And I love the auto, the location. And it's just something I really want. I've always wanted to have. And if it didn't look as cool as it did, I wouldn't want it. But since it looks, I think, amazing, I want it. I ranked it as 62. So kind of in the ballpark, a little higher, mainly just because of the look and the player and it, a home ticket and everything. On a side note, the Tiger Woods, there's only 30 of those fulls. I thought 49 sounded high, but of these, there's a total of 24, and they're all stubs.
Yeah.
Moving on, number 78. Oof, this one
controversial. Man, I actually had this on my list. I had it at 81, and the reason was because of the controversy behind it. Because it elicits so much debate over whether a debut should be, a desired ticket when all he did was just hold the kicks, the place kick. He was a place kick holder for the game. A few field goals, I think. He had like 3 field goals and a couple extra points maybe. So the debate is that his real, obviously it's his real debut, but is that important because he didn't actually do what he is famous for doing, play quarterback. So would you rather have the first touchdown or first pass or something like that as the beginning of his career versus when he held a kick? And that's a debate that is a heavy debate that happens all the time, and it happened a lot when this got posted, but that's the reason why it was on my list.
I'd want both. I'd want the first touchdown, first completion, but I also think holding the point's cool because it was his first time on the field. Yeah. And it's funny, in preparation for the show today, I looked back to see, I'm like, where did I put the Montana debut on my list? I didn't have it on the list. A lot of times we go back and we look for our tickets, where we place things on the list, and it's like, wow, I didn't put that on the list. And This was shocking to me because I think Joe Montana is iconic, and it should have been on my list.
To that point, Howard, I think my opinion has changed so much when I look at my list now, just because of the feedback that I've seen, people talking about different tickets and how it resonates with different collectors as they get posted, and it changes how I feel about them too. And I think that's going to be a theme for this whole list throughout the whole 100.
Yeah, I don't like this ticket at all, and I think it's just ugly, and I hate some football debuts for that reason. He took a snap as an extra point holder. I didn't rank it, and this TKD7 says, I'll take the chicken soup game over this one. Number 77. Oh, there's only 4 of those also, so they're super rare.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, when something's that rare, should it be iconic? That's the debate too.
77. I love this one. The 1983 NCAA Finals, NC State Cinderella season. I have a couple of these. I'm a huge fan of just the whole story, the season, the documentary. I think the ticket's cool. It's in the pit in New Mexico, Valvano. The foundation will live on forever. I had this one ranked at 44, so definitely much higher than this ranking. What do you guys think of this one?
I did not have this on my list.
Oh, Sean, baseball man.
Partly because it doesn't resonate with me. It was before my time. I don't remember it. And it's college basketball, and I'm not a big college basketball fan. I follow it a little bit, but not real closely. Have never seen the documentary. Don't really know the story behind it, so it just didn't hit with me. So, yeah, but now I do. And again, that, like I just said, it kind of changes how I feel about it. I don't know, just from the feedback that I've heard and the stories that I've heard and read about it for, as I create these slides, it kind of changes how I feel about it. So yeah, maybe it would be on my list if I updated it.
Howard, get my back on this.
Yeah, shame on you, Sean. Shame on you. It's an unbelievable ticket to an unbelievable moment in college basketball history. The whole Jimmy V thing, Valvano, shameful, Sean. Terrible.
Maybe if I was old enough to see it like you.
Oh, shots fired. Total on these, there are 5. We got a total of 5, I believe 21. Yeah, my little spreadsheet wasn't adding these up correctly, but I believe there's 21 of these, 16 stubs and 5 fulls. All right, moving along. Number 76. Ooh, another controversial one. Sean I think Sean had this one in his top 10, the Jeter MLB debut.
No, I did have it at 37, which is, looking back at it, that's kind of high. I don't know why I put it that high, but it is an iconic ticket to me. And maybe that's my bias because I like the Mariner logo on there and everything, but it's a ticket that is, every time it comes up for sale, it sells for just an extraordinary amount of money, more than I think that it's worth. That's why I don't have one, because I can't bear to spend that much on something that's there's so many of out there. But Derek Jeter, he's the most popular player in Yankee world in modern times. So how can you go wrong with that? Right, Howard?
You're going to have to buy one day, Sean, for the set registry.
Yeah,
hey,
I don't think so.
Mariners on it. You should.
I'm going to find one. I'm going to find one someday, just at an estate sale or something.
At a garage sale in Seattle. Yeah. There you go.
Hey, it is what it is. Jeter is a Yankee icon. I think it's a cool looking ticket. I think I had it ranked 87. There's 10 total, 6 stubs and 4 fulls.
Where'd you have it, Howard?
Didn't have it on my list.
Didn't have it on the list. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
All right, number 75. Ooh, Wayne Gretzky, first career pro goal. Now, this is an interesting one. I love the Wayne Gretzky Indianapolis Racers tickets. I think they're super cool and just unique.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of this one?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like the Racer tickets better than his the NHL ones, but I did not have this one on the first career goal. It was, I just don't see this as iconic. I think the debut is, and it probably, that's not on the list yet, but the first goal didn't, although this is my birthday. So I'm one of those guys who's, if you can find this ticket for me because this is my birthday, but yeah, that's the day I was born that his first goal happened. So that's kind of cool.
I love Wayne Gretzky. I think he's awesome. If for me, putting someone's first goal, then you kind of have to think on your list, well, what about someone's first home run or someone's first basket or point, or I don't know, someone's first touchdown. And I just didn't go there, but I love Gretzky. I love this ticket. And I know the hockey guys were very happy that this was on the list. So good for them.
Most definitely. There are 2 stubs and 1 full of this. So very, very rare.
Very rare.
Number 74, Glory Road, which has become a popular ticket in the last, I would say, 2 or 3 years. I do own one of these. I recently bought one at an auction. I think it's just pretty historic. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it seems like this has been popping up a lot more for sale, or maybe that's just me because I'm more aware of it now. I had it at number 92. It's almost like there's a grouping of tickets that are associated with movies and or some other pop culture element that kind of, if you're going to go down that road, just like with all the firsts, then you have to include them, a lot of them. But this one has historic significance other than that.
It was 48 on my list, and I actually bought one last year at the National. A guy had this ticket. It was not slabbed, and I saw it there the first day at the National, and I kept going back, and he didn't sell it. And then I went up the last day on Sunday at the National to him. I only bought 2 tickets at the National, other than a couple of random things I got from Mike. And I overheard the guy say to somebody, I really didn't have a good National. I was really disappointed with the National. And I made him an offer, and I never thought he was going to accept it. And I was thrilled to grab it. And for me, Sean, that's the part that I think is more important, not necessarily the film, because the film was okay, but just the social historical significance to the ticket and to the game. So I had it at 48 on my list.
14 stubs of these, no fulls. So pretty rare. Next, number 73. Hey, here we go. Pretty similar. Another movie type ticket, the Hoosiers ticket. I recently got one of these. It's pretty beat up. It was part of that big trade I did with Justin. Mine's, like I said, pretty beat up. I didn't think I would kind of get it, and initially I wasn't too excited because it was in such bad shape, if you can kind of see the writing and everything on it. But then I looked up, I was like, wow, if I don't get this now, there's only 4 of these, which makes it very, very rare. And I guess I'm sure there's more raws floating around, but I mean, that was a pretty cool ticket.
Well, I mean, it's a high school game from 1954. How many tickets could have survived?
Hey, Indiana history.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big game. And back then, basketball, especially in Indiana, was a big deal. But, it's amazing that a high school ticket looks that good.
Yeah, it is neat looking for sure.
Yeah. So I did not have this on my list. It's kind of one of those that it's so rare that how do you call it iconic? Even though, it has been for sale a few times, and you do see them every once in a while. For, would you say 4? There's only 4 of them?
Only 4. 4 stubs.
It seems like there should be more than that. Maybe there's been some raw ones that pop up.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, I rarely see them. I mean, Howard, do you ever see them, or what do you think about it?
I was 63 on my list, and it's funny, the one you bought or traded from Justin, that actually was sold on Boogers, and I was just kind of negotiating with the guy to buy it, and it wound up where Justin kind of beat me out, and I'm still angry about it because I want it. It's a really cool ticket. I like it. So, I think, Mike, you're lucky to have it.
Thank you. I'm also shocked to hear Justin bought a ticket on Boogers.
What? Weird.
Number 72. The Bartman game. Oh, this is one of my first tickets that kind of got me into collecting. And I love this because the event, I remember watching it live and just being like, it was just crazy. I don't know. Did you guys watch this game live?
I did not.
And watching it live, because at the time it was like, man, Cubs are this close to the World Series. If you're near a TV, you have to watch. And then you saw the incident happen. You're like, wow, this feels like something is the start of something bad, in which it was.
Yeah.
And I just love this ticket personally. I think I ranked it as number 70. I know, Howard, pull out that full. Let me see it. I know you have it.
No, I don't have a full. I have.
Oh, you don't?
No, I just have a stub that for whatever reason PSA said it was a 9, but I don't have a full.
Wow.
Just a 9.
9.
I didn't know such a thing really existed. But yeah, I had it high. I had it at 42 on my list. And if anyone's watching has not watched the 30 for 30 on this, I just think it's the best 30 for 30 out there. I just think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
I think this is one of those that if I was more aware of the story behind it, I probably would have ranked it higher, but I just had it at 91. But then from reading about it to, put the slide together and everything, it's an amazing story. And man, the poor guy, Bartman. Yeah. I mean, death threats and the whole bit. And then the Cubs come back and give him a World Series ring, and years later.
I don't even think did he even accept it. I don't even.
He accepted it.
He accepted it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
Okay.
I'm going to say two things. One, we all would have gone for that ball the exact same way he did.
And that's
100%.
the thing. Like, how could he even know that he's looking up at the ball? He can't see that there's a player right below him trying to catch it. It
was Moises Alou's reaction, in my opinion, that action, the way he responded, that caused the chaos behind it. But it's a great moment in sports history, and it's Ravel said it a bunch of times. What Chicago Cubs fan would want to keep this ticket? So
what's a low pop too?
What's the pop, Mike?
42 stubs, 4 fulls, 46 total.
Yeah, that's really low for a playoff game.
Yeah, home game, but people probably weren't too excited going home that night. 71, Pele World Cup debut. This was an interesting one because it was another one that went crazy basically during the bubble. Soccer guys don't like this as much as the championship is kind of my take from what I've heard from them. It is Pele. It's a World Cup debut. I don't know. What do you guys think of this one?
Yeah, this is one of the few that I actually have too. And, we've talked about this one so much because it had such a dramatic increase in value and then crashed just because so many more came out. But I think that it's historic, it's important, and it has become iconic just because it's of its importance and its prevalence in auctions and being sold so many times. So I actually had it really high. I had it at number 14.
Whoa, that is high.
Yeah.
Howard, what about you?
Yeah, I didn't have it on my list. I think it probably belongs on the list because of what Sean said. It's been in so many auctions. But again, for me, and I love Pele, and I think he's amazing. But again, if you start going into World Cup debuts, then it's like, well, why shouldn't every World Series debut be amazing, and go on the list? And why shouldn't Super Bowl debuts? I mean, I don't know. It just didn't hit me, so I didn't put it on my list.
Yeah, that's kind of why the same thing is my thoughts about, the World Series debuts, and you kind of get mixed up and things like that. There's actually 79 of these, which seems like quite a few for, I guess, a World Cup random.
And there's probably more. And there's quite a few that are fake.
Really?
Yeah. It's a pretty commonly fake ticket too, apparently. So.
Okay. Number 70. Ooh, soccer back-to-back. Now, this is one of the first soccer ones I bought. This is the World Cup Maradona Hand of God. For me as a casual soccer fan, I feel like this is the most, if you followed it a little bit in its history, maybe the most famous game of all time. I think it's pretty epic. I know the soccer guys definitely think that. What were your guys' thoughts on it?
Yeah. I think we got a lot of feedback after this one that it was so high. Number 70, they thought, it should have been top 10. And I think that was kind of a theme that I can't tell you how many times I heard that somebody say, oh, way too low. And it's like, you can only have 10 top 10s. You can't have 20 top 10s. So yeah, this is one of those that kind of shows that in the U.S. soccer just it ranks 5th. It's the 5th most popular sport in the United States. So it just isn't going to have the same excitement that other sports have for the collectors.
It's on the list, and it's fine for me that it's on the list. I mean, I own one. Mine's in terrible shape, but it's cool. For a soccer ticket, I think it's cool. It's an iconic moment, and I did watch, I think, the documentary, whoever did it, on Maradona and this goal, and it was pretty interesting. And very entertaining and informational. So, yeah, it's a great ticket to a great moment, but wasn't on my list.
Wasn't on your list. I had it at 73. So I was
Really? I'm just kind of surprised by that. I mean, I didn't have it super high. I think I had it at 58. There are a total of 41 stubs and 9 fulls. So actually a little surprised there's, I think, less of these than the actual Pele debut. Or, yeah, less. So I think a little undervalued, but you see them pop up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Number 69, Jordan the Shots. Thoughts?
Again, a lot of people way too low. And what was this the first? This was like the second or third Jordan that came up or something. There was a few Jordans in this grouping, but Jordan has so many historic moments. How can you rank them, and how can you put them in? For me, I put this at number 60, so it was kind of right in where it ended up. And this is kind of not the most attractive ticket in the world, and obviously a historic moment, but we're not ranking moments, we're ranking tickets. So that's why it ended up 60 for me.
Howard?
Not a Jordan fan. I had some Jordan tickets on my list, but this one wasn't on my list. And it's kind of funny because I looked back today at my list and I was like, I could have put that on the list. Probably should have been on there. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I wasn't the biggest Jordan fan growing up. He crushed the Philadelphia 76ers so many times, but what can I tell you? It's a great ticket. I'd like to own one.
I had it at 76. I would probably have this in my top 40 or 50 if it looked like other than something that was printed at the box office. Pretty iconic. Jordan's the man. There are 17 of these, so pretty rare. Not many Cavs fans were holding on to these when the game was over.
Yeah.
But would like to have one, but I'm not going to go, break the bank for something that's ugly looking like that. 68. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar NBA debut. This actually surprised me a little bit because you don't see it very often, and Kareem is, sure, a top 10 player, but I don't know. I just don't. Do people collect him like they do, some of these other iconic players?
Yeah. Yeah, this one wasn't on my list because it gets back to what we were talking about. If you start going into debuts and you start putting this one, then you basically have to put the debut of every great player of every sport, because this isn't iconic as far as the ticket, for any other reason than that it was Kareem. But I do have it. This is one of my.
This ticket is
the ticket I used was my copy because you just never see it. And again, this is another thing too. There's so few of these that it can't really be iconic if you just never see it. So not on my list.
Wasn't on my list. I think if you're an NBA debut collector, you have to have Alcindor Jabbar's debut. I mean, he's just legendary and incredibly underappreciated. But it was not on my list. But if I was a debut collector and I collected debuts, it's a must-have. It's a must-have.
5 total, 4 stubs, 1 full. Have you seen the full, Sean?
I have. Yeah.
And we probably know who owns that.
Mine's the highest graded too. I don't know if you.
Moving along.
Show off.
Number 67. Jordan dunks from the free throw line. All-Star Saturday ticket. Another Jordan. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome.
Where did I put this?
I have one, and I couldn't find it tonight just because I was rushing to get on this. I actually had it at 17.
Dang,
because,
Howard, going strong.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's every kid's poster in the 80s and 90s. And it's just, it was the real start of the Jordan legacy and, people really getting into the Bulls and to Jordan. And It's a huge moment. The ticket's pretty cool. It was in Chicago. Yeah, it's high for me.
Yeah, I think it gets back to the debate over the moment versus the ticket, because you're absolutely right, Howard. The moment was on every single wall, or not every single, but how many people had this poster on their wall when they were kids, or some picture of it, because this is such an iconic image of him doing that, exactly that dunk. I don't know that the ticket is iconic, and that's kind of where we have to differentiate. I had it at number 80. I think that it's a cool ticket because it's a very cool moment, but and it is recognizable. I'm not saying it's not recognizable as a ticket, but it's not like top. It's not that high in my view.
I didn't rank it, but it's one of these tickets where I'm not gonna yell and die on a hill about thinking it's ranked too high. It is very recognizable. It is an iconic moment. So being at 67 is be like, oh, okay, interesting. Maybe I underrate this one a little bit. Total on these 54 stubs, only 2 fulls. So fulls are very rare.
Yeah.
Wow.
Number 66. Tigers back. Tigers turns pro, and Sean, you I guess you said should be flipped. I'm guessing the rankings between the pro debut and
that's just my opinion, and it's not because I'm just basing that on scarcity. I think when Tiger went pro, it was a much bigger deal. Obviously, I mean that was just a huge deal when Tiger finally went pro and was, almost immediately the best golfer, on the PGA Tour. And that, I remember I did not follow golf at all back then, but I remember it so well because it was such huge news, and it turned golf into like a cool sport almost overnight. And so this was huge significance. So, but my personal preference is the other one just because of the scarcity of it. But that's just me. This one has a much higher pop. What was the pop? Did you have the population?
The pop on this is 54 total, 27 stubs and 27 fulls.
I thought it was more than that, but maybe there's a lot of raw out there.
Howard, do you own one?
Yeah, I do. I actually have it at PSA. It's coming back to me, so I don't have it in front of me. But I think it's a great ticket. And I mean, Tiger changed golf. Not only did he change the way people watch golf, but he changed who watched golf. There was a lot of people who, weren't permitted to watch golf or didn't follow golf because there was no one to associate to. And this was a big change for golf, a very positive change for golf. So this is definitely an iconic sports moment. The ticket, I think, is pretty cool too. Yeah, I had it. You know what? I didn't put either of the debuts just because I'm not a debut guy on the list. For me, I only had the Masters win in 97.
Yeah, I had this at 51. It's one of the first Tigers. I bought it. Once was thought to be super rare, but definitely more common, especially the fulls. So it's kind of interesting to see how this pop report will end up being in a year or two from now.
I had this at 35, so it was pretty high on my list.
Okay. All right, number 65. Oh, one of the most craziest sports watching moments of my life. Douglas upsets Tyson. I actually own one of these. Let me pull it up. I bought this 3 or 4 years ago and snagged it on eBay. Super cheap. And I was like, oh my gosh, it seems expensive at the time. If this ticket didn't look the way it did, it'd probably be, if it looked cool, it'd probably be in my top 15, maybe top 10 if it was. But the fact that it's, it was in Japan at the Tokyo Dome, he doesn't even have his name on it, which drives me crazy. I know Ravel messaged me about, why don't you think it should be higher, this and that. I'm like, I can't even, I don't know. What do you guys think of this ticket?
Yeah. I other than yours, I'd never even seen it before. So and this is where, like I keep saying, the difference between the moments and the tickets. It is a historic moment, but we talked about this when we created this list was, do we want a list of historic moments or do we want a list of iconic tickets? And that's where, to me, this, because of how it looks and you can't read it and all of that. And it's so rare too, right? There is not that many of these.
Right. There's a total of 6, 3 stubs and 3 fulls.
Yeah.
So very, very rare.
So for those,
I actually like the fact that it's in Japanese, and it's almost like there was no hype about it, because there was no hype about the fight. And I was a big Tyson fan growing up. I watched every Tyson fight, and I will never forget the Miami Heat hosted the All-Star game the year of this fight. And I watched the slam dunk contest, and I watched the 3-point shootout. And that's what I watched the night before the All-Star game. And the Tyson fight was on at the same time, and I never watched it. And when I got to the arena, I went to the All-Star game that year. On every chair, there was a newspaper called The National, and it said, Tyson loses. And I was like, Tyson lost? I didn't even know he was fighting last night.
yeah.
There you go. So kind of the fact that it's like got this anonymity to it,
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I mean,
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%, Howard. It's a great ticket, but I guess there's a difference between a great ticket to want and an iconic ticket.
Mhm.
And that's why I didn't have it on my list.
Yeah, that was because
Don't get me wrong.
I know when we first started doing this, I think we were shocked because I think you said you didn't even have it on the list. And me and Howard were like, are you insane? Like, this is.
Yeah, because it's not iconic. This is not a list of great moments.
Howard, what did you rank it at?
I have it on my list, but I don't know where I had it. I was rushing to get on here tonight, so I don't know, but it was high. I know for a fact it was high.
Because I initially was like, I had it like 20. Then I kept thinking, I was like, man, nobody knows it. You can't even recognize what I like tickets where people look at them and be like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so happened. I could show this to 100 people, like at the card show, and 99 would be like, I have no idea what this ticket is unless they read the label. So I guess I kept bumped it down and ended up putting it at 57, but that made me sad because I love it.
But I have a lot of great tickets too that I really love that I wouldn't even put it on an iconic ticket list because they're not iconic. Maybe because they're so scarce, just like this one is.
Right.
So
maybe
you shouldn't be sad.
I shed a tear. Moving along, number 64, Maris 61.
Yeah. This one, just to go over, I think that this was one of the errors that we made because when we sent out the list, this ticket wasn't on the original, sampling that we had. I think we listed out hundreds of tickets, and
every
wasn't on
possible ticket we could think of.
Yeah, and this one's obviously a huge one, and it wasn't on the list. So I think we got some lists back, and I made the correction, or I think we made the correction when we sent it out to other people. But there were some that went out, and this wasn't on. So if whoever voted thought that they had to only use those, even though we told everyone you don't have to use what's on the list, you can use whatever you want, but this is just a reference, a guide. But if they did do that, then they wouldn't have found this ticket. So I think that it might have ended up a little bit too low as a result of that, but maybe not. I don't know, because it is an absolutely historic ticket. If before the steroids era, this would be in the top 5 probably. If you don't count all the people who in modern times broke this record. But it was just huge at that time, and the story behind it, movie, and the whole bit. This is a huge ticket for baseball collectors.
It was on my list, and it would have been way higher if we didn't forget to include it in the beginning. And I think I just subbed out a ticket and said just put the Maris 61 there, and I had it like 93, but it would have been a top 50 ticket if it would have been part of the original listing of tickets. I I have one, and yeah, if you haven't seen the movie and you're a baseball fan, you should watch the movie. The movie's great. But I mean, it's just a classic Yankee ticket to a very iconic moment. I mean, it speaks to me, so I love it.
Total on these is 73 stubs, no fulls, 0 fulls.
Wow.
Number 63. The flu game was a little controversial for being low.
Yeah. How many? I mean, there's people out there who think that 1 through 10 should be all Jordan.
Too low, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, this is one that if, like I said, I read through the story behind each ticket as I create the slide and everything. And this is one that I became more aware of after I read about it and found out how important it was and how significant the game was. I had it at 57, which kind of is where it ended up. But I'm not a huge basketball fan, although I was a huge basketball fan in this time when this happened. But the ticket itself is not particularly attractive. I really dislike the playoff game tickets that just have, kind of generic information on them because they didn't know who was going to play. And basketball is notorious for that. So not the most attractive ticket, but it is absolutely a historic moment with full understanding of that.
60 on my list. And I actually like the ticket. I think it's kind of your classic 90s basketball ticket. And I like it. I think it's a tremendous moment in Jordan's career and tremendous moment in sports. And, The Last Dance made it out to, be a lot. Talked a lot about it in The Last Dance documentary. So how about you, Mike? You had it. I know you like this ticket and want one desperately, but
I do like it a lot and do want one. I think that's a big part of why people think it's too low is because there's so many Jordan collectors, and this one is so hard to find. It's super, super rare for being basically a Jordan playoff ticket. I mean, there's a total of 10. There's seven stubs and 3 fulls. So when one comes up for auction, it goes for stupid amounts. Like you're talking in the high 4 figures, 7, 8, 9, 10K. I think a full did not too long ago. So I think that's a big reason people are like, it's too low. It went for, it's 8K. There's only 10. And it's Jordan flu game. I had it at 45, number 45.
Yeah.
62. Reggie, 3 bombs in game 6 of the World Series.
Yeah. So this is my 4th one.
Let me get a good look at that one. Hold on.
That I own. I think is it the same one?
Oh, same one probably is.
It's not.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe not.
That's the 4th one that I own in this group. I had this one at 41. I thought it was important. And admittedly, that's my baseball bias coming through there. But this game used to be, I think is still. I mean, this is the game where Mr. October got his nickname. So it has that significance to it. 3 home runs and
hold on, Howard.
Yeah, no, I agree with Sean. Mine is actually signed. He does these inscriptions. Mr. October, 3 World Series home runs.
Yeah,
and he'll even put more inscriptions on there if you want. Yeah. But
it's a great one.
Has anyone? I don't know if you guys have watched the Amazon Prime on Reggie, the documentary that came out a couple of days ago or a week ago or so.
I haven't gotten to it.
It's a little slow in places, but it's great. I didn't realize what a socially historical influence he's had on the game. He's very candid about things and very upfront about it. But I had this very high. I had it at 18 on my list.
Wow, this shows you kind of how people would keep their tickets for a massive event that was at home. There are 225 of these, 194 stubs, 31 fulls. And yeah, that's a ton of tickets. But when it's something super historical and it happens at home, everybody kept their ticket.
Yeah.
When, like we talked about the Cavaliers, Jordan shot, and there was like 17. So that comes into the supply and demand. And I think it's super cool, iconic ticket. I didn't have it ranked that high. I don't know, just because I think there's so many great baseball moments. I think it's lost in the the clutter of them, but I'm not going to argue with the number 62 ranking.
It's Mr. October, man. It's Mr.
October. Number 61. Kobe, 81. Justin, where you at?
Must not be watching today.
Yeah, he's out. Otherwise, we'd be getting blown up. We'd be getting harassed right now.
I forgot. What was Justin's take on this?
I don't know.
Top 10, way too low.
I think this is a great ticket. Yes, the game was a meaningless regular season game, but it is the second highest scoring game. It's at home, a Laker game. It's 81 points. It is Kobe. No arguments here with this ranking. I was actually very similar. I had it ranked at 63.
Yeah, I had it at 55. Same.
Mike and I are pretty spot on. I had it at 65. Yeah.
So yeah, since we all agree on that may be the perfect ranking of the three. There are quite a few of these, of course, home game. A lot of people kept these tickets, and I believe this was during the PDF era where you would get a printout of the ticket and would not have to bring your hard ticket to the game. There are 115 stubs and a total of 154 with being 20 stubs and 134 fulls. So like I said, a lot of people didn't have to bring this to the game, but some did because you could either print your PDF out or you could bring the hard ticket.
Yeah. Well, it's an iconic ticket, I think. It's
no doubt.
Just from the looks of it too.
So that wraps up the 61 through 80.
So what are some takeaways that you guys have so far?
Yeah, it's just fun seeing them roll out one by one. I think, like we've talked about, there's such a mishmash between, I think, 50 and 100. I think once we get into the 50 and lower, things kind of become a little clear and like, oh yeah, that definitely should be a top 50. Where when you get, number 71 could be 99 or 56. But when you're like number 34, it's like, yeah, you probably belong in that 20, 30-ish, maybe 40-ish window.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think too, there's, again, debuts that I didn't expect to be on the list made the list. And that's okay. I've come to appreciate it and I've come to accept it. And I think it's good. And like you said, Sean, I mean, you think what everyone's collecting, what everyone wants and what everyone thinks is iconic. And then you get everyone's lists and you're like, whoa, I don't know it.
Very different. Yeah. And it kind of makes you realize that there's a lot of different opinions out there. I think one thing I've realized is that it's similar to sports cards in that you have your old school vintage collectors like that love the T206 set. And you have your modern collectors who love, the whatever shiny stuff that they make today. Those two groups do not get along, but they're doing the same thing. They're collecting cards. And I think that to a lesser extent, that's true with tickets too. There's groups that are more into, the vintage tickets of just old stuff. And then there's the more modern and the people who are looking for things that they remember the event that happened. And then those two groups don't necessarily get along as well as you'd think. So that's one thing I've realized. And I think that I'm in the vintage group more so than the more modern stuff.
Probably because of the gray hair you have on the sides of your head.
Hey, as long as you have hair, that's a win.
True.
Yeah, let's not get in a hair conversation.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I think that was a good summary. I know we're still rolling. You can find us at, we got Top 100 Tickets. Is that right?
Top 100 Tickets, yeah.
Top 100 Tickets. Instagram, Facebook group, Boogers Stubs, rolls out every day also. We'll summarize it as we go. But yeah, we appreciate the followers, appreciate the listeners. You can follow us on YouTube, follow Top 100 Tickets on Instagram. You guys have anything else?
I think that's it for me. I have this cool checklist that I'll be posting in Boogers tomorrow. It's of the 100 through 61 so far, and then I'll update it as we get into each group of 20, so that people can print it out and check off the ones they have.
Right. Start collecting.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, Howard. Appreciate coming on, joining me and Sean. Sean, fun as always. And we'll see you guys again.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. See you.
See ya.
All right. Have a good